What does school teach you about money? Nothing. And that's not a mistake. That's not an accident. The way to keep the poor and middle class working hard is never teach them what the rich know. What the rich teach their kids about money, the poor and middle class do not. If you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Rich Dad's lesson number 1, the rich don't work for money. Don't you touch that stuff. If I pay you, you think like an employee. Your brain will change. If you learn never to work for money, you'll be a rich man. The people that are being screwed today are the poor and middle class because they work for money. You know, the banker, they're not working for money.
They have money working for them.
Yeah, very big difference in mentality here. What is financial education? It's not get a job, work hard, save money, and invest in a well-diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. That's not it. The financial industry is 2 things, debt and taxes. Debt and taxes. And we still tell kids to go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, and get out of debt. Now, who tells them to do that? That's the most ridiculous thing there is.
The book starts and it says, lie number 1, saving money will make you rich.
Yeah, it never will. You know that.
All taught that as kids.
Yeah, because they can print it. Why would you save it and why would you work for it if they can print it faster than you can work for it? And number 2 is they keep dropping the interest rates on it. You know, Japan still has zero interest rate policy. And the Japanese are the biggest savers in the world. And I'm Japanese and 4th generation. They're not too bright.
Right.
Why do you keep saving when they're printing it? You know, when I'm in Japan, that's what I mean by fear. They're so afraid because the Japanese, good culture, but they do as they're told.
It's very conformist.
Very conformist, very conformist. So they just do as they're told, and then they just save money, and their government, this guy Abenomics, is just printing trillions of it and buying ETFs with it, and they don't know what to do. They're afraid they might make a mistake. They're good little students in school. Go to school, get a job, don't make mistakes. So what happens to the average person in a financial crash, they don't know what to do. And right now, as you know, for the middle class of the world, we're in a crash. You know, the purchasing power of the yen, the euro, the rupiah, all going down. And people are working harder and harder and harder, and the central banks of the world are printing more money.
And so if someone's listening to us that's stuck in that poor middle class trap and they hear it's their fear that ultimately is keeping them from that, that's a hard thing to hear, Robert. But you're going to give them the information about what they can do if they can get out of that fear.
Well, every time I do a lot of speaking to the masses out there, you know, Lehman doesn't invite me in because we're gone, but they go, what, you know, it's so risky. What you're saying is risky. And I said, what I do isn't risky for me, but it's risky for you. And when somebody says, what is risk? You have to look in the mirror. Do you know what I mean? For me to fly in Vietnam, that was high risk. But the higher the risk, the more you have to study. You know that, I know that. So if you're not going to study, you're not going to practice and all that, then you should do what Wall Street tells you to do. Buy 401ks, mutual funds, ETFs and all that. But that's where they're fake assets, because they only make Wall Street or the City of London rich. Just watch where the cash is flowing. Follow the money. What's risky is having a job and paying taxes and saving money because they're printing it. You know, that's the worst thing of all. And that's why there's fake money, fake teachers. The teachers will never, they don't know it. Right. And fake assets, because Wall Street or the City of London or Lehman Brothers or Goldman and all, they're not going to tell you this.
Yeah.
How are there billionaire bankers today? Aren't they supposed to be watching your money, you know?
You said in here also, the greatest asset you have is your mind. What does that mean?
If you really want to be rich, take a class on real estate. Once you understand real estate is based on debt, learn how to use debt as money. So that once you learn how to use debt as money, you can never say, I can't afford it. See, because the banks will give you, so the banks, after the crash of 2008, the banks gave me $300 million tax-free. to buy real estate that the idiots had lost. I hate this, and then they were idiots because the prices were so high. Why would you buy it at the top of a market? Don't you know that's going to crash? Oh, no. This was, that was the subprime was the derivatives market, the MBSs and all that stuff. Had driven the price of real estate so high, and the rest of us were just waiting. And then when the whole thing came crashing down, all this real estate was now available, and they needed, the Fed and those guys in the Treasury needed guys like us to go in there. So Wall Street gave us hundreds of millions of dollars to mop up all that real estate these guys had lost. Now, it's fair because everybody could do it. So, when I asked the average guy, I said, why don't you use debt? They can't even get a loan because their scores, their FICO scores, I don't even have them here, are so bad. The school system will never teach you about money. The school system was designed to teach you to be an employee, which is important, or a doctor or a lawyer, a specialist, but never about money. And what most people lack is real business knowledge, like accounting, like debt, like taxes. You got to know that stuff, but they don't teach it in school to anybody. So, and then when people ask me, how did your rich dad learn this when your poor dad, a PhD, didn't? And the answer is very simply, my rich dad, who's my best friend's father, his father died when he was 13. So rich dad had this family business at 13 to run. So he had to drop out of school, which was his blessing. There's blessings, and sometimes the blessing doesn't look like a blessing, but it turned out to be a blessing. And then his teachers became his bookkeeper, his accountant, his attorney, his banker, his real estate agents. So he has what I call real teachers, not these fake teachers in school. You see, most teachers in school, they're out of ethics. They teach subjects they themselves don't practice. I asked the teacher, I said, I'm in my third year of calculus now. It was called strength of materials. I said, am I ever going to use this stuff? He goes, no. I said, why do you teach it? Because I get paid. I said, do you ever use it? He goes, no. And that's why, you have to, in life, one of the things I suggest to people, you got to find a real teacher versus a fake teacher. And a fake teacher is somebody who doesn't do what they teach. And a real teacher is doing what they teach every day. So my accountants, my attorneys, they're in it every single day. That's how I learn, because every day I'm solving problems in my business. So I have accountants and attorneys and bankers and all these people on speed dial because I'm solving problems with my team.
I see you giving this knowledge out, and
yeah.
Do the rich people cringe and say, don't tell them that, Rob?
Yes. Don't tell people what you know.
Right.
Keep them poor. But, unfortunately, the poor, as was in the Bible, I'm not real religious, the poor will always be amongst us because it starts up here.
Right. It's that fear mentality.
It's in their words, and the words become flesh. Again, I'm not really religious. I flunked out of Sunday school also. But when they say I can't afford it or I can't do that, they go down. They become what they say. My PhD dad, he says, what do you think I am, made of money? I can't afford that. And my rich dad would say, that's why he's poor. Poor people say, I can't afford it, I can't do that, I don't have time. Because it's an escape. It's an escape. You know what I mean? It's easy to say, I can't afford it.
And your rich dad used to say what instead of, I can't afford it?
How can I afford it? How can I do that? What would it take, or why should I do that? He says that a question opens the mind, a statement closes the mind. See, when you say, I can't afford it, your mind shuts down, and you become what you say. Rugby is a team sport, but so is soccer. The rules are different. And other people are golfers. They play by themselves. And so everybody's different. So my game financially is business, number one. Second is real estate. So what I say to young people is, you find your game.